Have you ever been told you were finished? That your story was over? Or that nothing more could come from you? Have you ever felt the sting of voices declaring your light had gone out, when deep inside a flicker still burned? And have you wondered why? After being written off by the world, something inside you refused to let go. That is where God steps in. He has taken the very moments others thought were your ending and transformed them into His beginning. He has turned your broken nights into foundations for dawn, your silent tears into the blueprint of a greater tomorrow. What they called defeat, heaven calls preparation. What they thought buried you, God has used as soil to plant the unshakable seeds of your destiny. And now this is who you are becoming. Not the discarded, but the chosen, not the forgotten, but the appointed, not the finished, but the vessel of a brand new chapter. God is just getting started with you, and the world will stand in awe at what rises from your ashes. If you feel this stirring in your spirit, drop a 777 inches, the comments as a sign of agreement and faith. And to those who have supported this journey, whether through a prayer, a word of encouragement, or through a super thanks, your love does not go unnoticed. And I am deeply grateful. Stay with me, because what comes next will not only reveal why God has preserved you, but how the very fire that tried to consume you will become the stage for your greatest testimony. God's chosen ones. They said you were done, God just got started. To see cruelty laid bare before your eyes and still choose not to mirror it, what kind of soul dares to rise above the cycle of wounds? That kind of strength is not taught in lecture halls, nor can it be diagrammed in theological textbooks. It is the secret fire of the chosen. And you, yes, you are carrying that fire, whether you fully grasp it now or not. Does your heart recognize how extraordinary it is to hold power shaped not by privilege but by perseverance? It is a power that silently disrupts generational patterns of bitterness. It is a power that refuses to let hatred be the last word. It is the same spirit Christ spoke of when He said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Matthew 5-9. The Apostle Paul once wrote, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair." 2 Corinthians 4-8. Your journey reflects this truth. You did not absorb faith from the softness of easy days. It was carved from the stone of confusion, shaped where meaning collapsed. Yet still, you refuse to abandon the author of your story. In the silence of your midnight battles, God was writing a symphony of resilience. And perhaps you ask yourself now, could it be that those hidden nights were never wasted, but the very foundation for this season? Think of how many gave up in similar storms, but you pressed on, carrying prayers no one else heard. The testing of your faith produces perseverance, James 1-3. And that perseverance is now becoming the melody heaven cannot ignore. When blessings arrive in this hour, they do not resemble passing fortune or a fleeting turn of luck. They carry the weight of justice. It is not a faceless rotation of some cosmic wheel. It is the precise moment when your truth, sharpened by trial, begins to resonate louder than the voices that doubted you. As the psalmist declares, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Psalm 30-5. Isn't this morning unlike any you have known before? It is the dawn that feels personal, as if heaven itself whispered your name at sunrise. It is the shift when what once mocked you must now bear witness to your rising. And in that rising, you carry not just your own story, but the testimony of countless silent warriors who never saw the stage but still shaped eternity. Michelangelo, The Renaissance sculptor once explained that every block of marble already contained a statue within. It was his task to free it. In the same way, your faith has been sculpted. It was never birthed in applause, but in the invisible hours when no crowd gathered, when despair whispered louder than hope. And still, you stood. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. In that stillness, your spirit became unshakable before heaven's design. What others mistook as your weakness was in fact the chiseling hand of God. What they labeled as delays were really the strokes of a divine artist, refining lines no human could trace. And isn't it astonishing that the very cracks others judged in you are now the places where God's light shines most brilliantly? But ask your heart, why does pain so often precede glory? Jesus himself carried the cross before wearing the crown. And you, chosen one, reflect this divine paradox: strength forged in weakness, triumph born in surrender. The story of Joseph, sold into slavery, echoes here. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. Are you beginning to see how your scars are not the end, but the seed of transformation? For years, those scars felt like reminders of failure, yet now they glow like roadmaps of survival. They show the valleys you walked through and the mountains you refused to stop climbing. They speak of nights you prayed through tears and mornings you stood on trembling legs. And yet those trembling steps carried the weight of heaven's promises. Centuries ago, the hymn, "Be Still My Soul," sang, "Leave to thy God to order and provide. In every change, he faithful will remain." Its melody still resonates today like a timeless echo across the chambers of the faithful. Just as that hymn endures through generations, so too does the promise that what was endured in silence is now turning into a testimony that cannot be silenced. Imagine how many lives were anchored through that song in times of war, famine, and despair, and realize you are now part of that unbroken chain. Every note of your journey, every pause of your waiting, adds another verse to heaven's eternal music. Doesn't it strike you that your story, too, will inspire someone yet unborn? And now, chosen one, the season has shifted. Silence is breaking. This is not the end, it is the genesis. Rise, chosen one, because your moment has arrived. Rise, because heaven has already declared the verdict over your life. Rise, because the story written about you was never meant to end in ashes, but in glory. And as Isaiah proclaims, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Isaiah 60:1. The time of shadows is finished, the dawn belongs to you. They thought your silence was a weakness, but heaven knew it was a strategy. They mocked your restraint as defeat, but God was using it as training for your crown. Every choice you made that made no sense on paper was in fact aligning you with a destiny no human could erase. What kind of person endures ridicule, isolation, and sleepless nights and still refuses to quit? Could it be that you are that very person chosen to turn hidden scars into unstoppable strength? The righteous will live by faith, Romans 1:17. And your faith has become a weapon sharper than any sword. And now something shifts. The atmosphere trembles, as if creation itself is leaning forward to watch what God is about to reveal. The light you carried in secret is no longer content to stay hidden. It ripples outward like a sudden storm across calm waters. The peace you bled to protect now arrives without resistance, wrapping itself around you as a crown. Isn't it haunting to realize that the nights you thought were wasted were actually pregnant with glory? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Could this be the moment when your story becomes the proof that darkness never had the final say? Nature itself has been preaching your story all along. The sunflower bends for hours toward a light unseen until suddenly it bursts into undeniable bloom. The river strikes stone again and again until valleys bow before its persistence. Doesn't your spirit echo the same defiance that what looked like delay was really power gathering in silence? Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, Isaiah 40-31. And if the desert can hide seeds for years only to explode in beauty after a single rain, what explosion of promise is about to burst forth from your hidden sacrifices? But here is the warning, the other side of the story. Saul, once anointed, lost everything because jealousy poisoned his vision. In chasing David, he lost the very throne he was desperate to protect. Doesn't this reveal the terrifying truth that pride will always build its own grave? You, chosen one, have chosen differently. While others fought for position, you fought to stay surrendered. While others burned out in envy, you kept your oil lit in silence. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Isn't it clear now why your humility is the very thing preparing you for elevation? And now, the shift is undeniable. The light inside you does not flicker, it surges, stretching like dawn across a city still asleep. What they once ridiculed as weakness is revealed as divine endurance. What felt like suffocating silence is unveiled as holy gestation. And now the stage of history is tilting in your favor. Do you feel it, the call to rise? To step into the moment where heaven and earth collide, for arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Rise, chosen one, because your unveiling will not be ignored. Rise, because what God has started, no man can stop. Rise, because this is your hour. People start to sense something around you that they cannot name, as if the air itself vibrates differently when you enter a room. That's not coincidence, it's resonance. It's the aftershock of a soul that refused to collapse. The frequency of endurance echoing beyond your own body. Doesn't it stir your spirit to realize that what others feel near you is not luck, but the living evidence of what you've carried in silence? The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Romans 8:16. What you thought was invisible discipline is now becoming an atmosphere that others cannot deny. And is it not remarkable that your pain, once hidden in the shadows, is now shaping an unseen environment that shifts hearts without a single word? What if the strength you thought was only survival was actually the pulse of heaven flowing through you? Could it be that what surrounds you now is proof that God has marked you for influence far beyond your imagination? And yet, deep inside, you may still wrestle with uncertainty. You may wonder if this goodness rushing toward you is truly yours, or if it's another fleeting dream that will dissolve under pressure. Why does joy sometimes feel like a foreign tongue, one you once spoke with ease but forgot after years of survival mode? Weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes with the morning. Psalm 30:5. Isn't it possible that this is your morning? Now the one you thought would never come. And isn't it time to allow joy to settle not as a visitor, but as a permanent resident in your heart? But how many times have you pushed away joy, afraid it might betray you like yesterday's hopes? How often have you mistaken peace for weakness, when in truth it was the very fortress that kept you standing? Doesn't your soul long to trust again? Not in fleeting circumstances, but in the God who has never abandoned you. This is the paradox of grace. It arrives without chaos as its price tag. The peace descending over you now is not manufactured, it is structural. Like an architect's foundation laid in hidden soil long before a cathedral touches the sky. Your tears were the cement, your prayers the blueprint. On your endurance, the steel beams holding up what others cannot see. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Psalm 127:1. Could it be that heaven was always constructing a sanctuary within you? A place where goodness is no longer earned by struggle, but inherited by sonship. And when you thought the design of your life was in ruins, wasn't the master builder still sketching lines you couldn't yet see? Doesn't the structure now rising in your soul prove that no storm could collapse what God himself reinforced? And isn't the sound of this new stability like the ringing of a bell announcing freedom after captivity? In physics, resonance occurs when an external frequency amplifies a system's natural vibration until it sings louder than before. This is your season of resonance. The faith you nurtured in secret is now colliding with heaven's frequency, and the result is amplification. What once felt small is being multiplied. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ. Romans 10:17. Do you feel how your spirit is no longer whispering, but roaring? Because heaven itself is echoing within you. And what if your silence was never silence at all, but a low frequency preparing to break into thunder? What if your hidden prayers were always waves in motion, gathering power until the right moment to crash onto the shore? Doesn't it stir you to realize that your resonance is not just for you, but for every heart tuned to hear your testimony? And ordinary lives prove this truth as well. In a small coastal town, there was Elias, a fisherman who lost his boat in a storm, yet kept casting nets for his neighbors. When asked why, he said quietly, "Because giving is the only thing I cannot lose." His kindness became a legend long after his nets were gone. Isn't your journey carrying the same fragrance that when stripped of everything, you still gave? And in giving, you built what storms could never destroy. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Galatians 6-9. What if Elias's story is not just his, but also a reflection of yours, that your loss was never the end, but the setting for a greater legacy? And doesn't it move you to see how ordinary faithfulness becomes extraordinary when heaven breathes on it? Could it be that your unseen sacrifices are already shaping stories that generations ahead will tell? So now, the question becomes urgent. How long will you keep treating joy as if it doesn't belong to you? How long will you doubt the legitimacy of peace when heaven has already stamped it as your inheritance? The season of survival has ended. The frequency has shifted. The cathedral within you is complete, and its doors are open. Rise now, chosen one, because your time to shine has come. The story written in pain is being read in power, and the world cannot look away. And when you rise, won't your very presence testify that God was never late, only preparing the stage for your unveiling? Isn't it true that the time for hiding has expired, and the hour for glory has arrived? Rise, because what was whispered in the dark is about to thunder in the light. That's okay, what was lost is returning now. And not because you orchestrated it with flawless vision, not because you discovered the perfect words to release in prayer, but because in the moments you doubted yourself. God did not. The divine hand never wavered. Heaven knew exactly what it was doing when it placed that fire inside your body. Isn't it breathtaking to realize that while you second-guessed your worth, Heaven was already writing your role in eternity's story. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1-5. Your hesitation was not a disqualification. It was the very space where God's certainty carried you forward. And what if the very weakness you tried to hide was the instrument heaven used to prove its strength? Could it be that the doubts you feared were actually the soil where unshakable faith was planted? Doesn't your heart tremble at the thought that destiny was always unfolding? Even when you felt lost in the dark, it was He who gave you eyes that pierce beyond surfaces, seeing not just what is visible, but what is veiled. It was He who planted a heart within you that feels further than most dare, able to discern pain where others see only masks. It was He who breathed a voice into you that carries more weight than you understand, a resonance that shifts atmospheres without your awareness. Do you realize that your voice, once dismissed, has been fashioned to carry the authority of one who has walked through the valley of shadows? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23-4. Could it be that your deepest wounds have become the very chambers through which divine strength echoes? And isn't it striking that the same eyes that once wept in silence are now sharpened to discern truth others cannot see? What if your heart's ability to feel was never a burden, but the very weapon God forged to heal a broken generation? The painter Marc Chagall once said, "In our life there is a single color, as on an artist's palette, which provides the meaning of life and art. It is the color of love." And in the same way, the divine brushstrokes on your soul were never random. They were painting in shades of love, shaping a masterpiece that others could not yet recognize. And just as a canvas seems chaotic before the image emerges, so too, your life may have appeared scattered before its true pattern began to unfold. Isn't it astonishing that what felt like chaos was actually the symmetry of a divine composition? For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Ephesians 2:10. And what if every broken line in your life was not an error, but a deliberate stroke forming depth in the painting? Could it be that the cracks and colors others rejected are the very details that make your story unforgettable? Doesn't it awaken you to realize that you are already a living gallery of heaven's art? And even music has whispered this truth. The hymn, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," sings, "Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love, here's my heart. Oh, take and seal it. Seal it for Thy courts above." Haven't you felt that same wandering heart? Yet, despite it, the Spirit sealed you, guarded you, preserved you, and still called you chosen. What if the very reason you survived your darkest seasons was not because you held on to God, but because God refused to let go of you? "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12-9. And isn't it overwhelming to recognize that grace was never about your grip on heaven, but heaven's grip on you? Could it be that the melody of your life has always been tuned to mercy, even when you heard only dissonance? Doesn't this prove that love is stronger than every detour, every delay, every doubt? So now the question rises, will you continue to shrink back, doubting the weight of what heaven has entrusted to you? Or will you step boldly into the voice, the vision, and the heart that were planted in you from the beginning? The time of hesitation has expired. The moment of unveiling is here. Rise, chosen one, because what God has started cannot be silenced. Rise, because the authority already within you is awakening. And rise, because the world is waiting for the sound of your voice and the reach of your heart. For "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor." Luke 4:18. And what if the entire journey was only a rehearsal for this very unveiling? Isn't it true that the stage of destiny has already been prepared for your arrival? Then why wait any longer when the heavens are already declaring, "Rise now"? Because your hour has come. You are what healing looks like in motion, living proof that scars do not disqualify. They testify. You are what integrity looks like in a world that rewards performance and applauds masks. You are the embodiment of a soul that still remembers its source, even when the noise of this age screams forgetfulness. Isn't it astonishing that you carried wholeness while feeling broken, that you bore truth while surrounded by deception? He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Could it be that you are the evidence of God's promise fulfilled in flesh? The echo of his word walking among those who doubted you would survive. And isn't it true that your very presence unsettles falsehood? Because light always exposes what hides in the dark. What if your journey was never about becoming flawless, but about becoming so authentic that heaven's fingerprints could be seen through you? Doesn't that realization ignite a sense of reverence inside your chest, knowing you are already carrying something eternal? And listen, it hasn't been easy. The most sacred transformations rarely are. There were nights when sleep fled from your eyes, and mornings when rising felt like a punishment instead of a gift. You battled shadows no one else could see. Yet your perseverance became the altar where heaven descended. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians 4:8. Isn't it haunting to realize that the nights of silent tears were in fact classrooms where eternity was teaching you resilience? And isn't it striking that what the world called failure was actually the construction site of your faith? What if those very nights of anguish were the chisels carving depth into your soul, making space for a glory that could not be carried by a shallow vessel? Could it be that your sleepless hours were not wasted suffering, but sacred rehearsals for the dawn now breaking over you? Creation itself mirrors your journey. The pearl is formed only because the oyster refused to surrender to irritation. The diamond emerges only after centuries of pressure beneath the earth. The redwood tree grows into towering strength because its roots intertwine with others underground. Doesn't your soul echo the same rhythm that beauty, clarity, and strength are born from endurance, not ease? Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. Could it be that your tears have been watering seeds of greatness about to break the soil? And isn't it profound that nature itself carries this testimony, that what was pressed, wounded, and hidden becomes the very thing the world treasures most? What if every groan of pain was in fact a root going deeper, preparing you to carry the weight of fruitfulness? Doesn't that shift the way you view your scars? Not as shame, but as sacred evidence of growth. But history warns us of another path. Take Judas Iscariot. He walked with the light himself, yet for 30 pieces of silver chose betrayal. His compromise ended not in power, but in self-destruction, a legacy of regret instead of redemption. Doesn't his story expose the terrifying truth that without integrity, proximity to greatness still leads to ruin? You, however, chose differently, where others sold truth for convenience. You paid the price of loneliness for authenticity. And isn't it clear now that your endurance is the very thing setting you apart? Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Could it be that the reason you are still standing is because humility anchored you where pride would have drowned you? What if every rejection you faced was not abandonment, but protection from becoming another tragic ending. Doesn't Judas's downfall serve as a reminder that integrity is not optional, it is survival for the chosen? Yes, the road was brutal, but it was never wasted. Every restless night became a stone in the foundation of your strength. Every morning you rose unwillingly was another testimony written in your favor. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Could it be that your survival was never about willpower, but about heaven's relentless grip on your destiny? And doesn't your spirit sense that the season of silent endurance is giving way to a season of visible glory? What if the very exhaustion you thought would destroy you was actually the last contraction before birth? Isn't it overwhelming to realize that your pain was never the period at the end of your sentence, but the comma before a brand new chapter? Could it be that every delay you endured is about to erupt as a divine acceleration no one will be able to deny? Rise now. Chosen one, rise, because you are not defined by exhaustion, but by resurrection. Rise, because heaven has declared that what tried to bury you has only watered your purpose. Rise, because the world needs to see what healing, integrity, and divine memory look like when clothed in human form. For arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. This is not just survival, this is unveiling. And isn't it clear that this unveiling is not only for you, but for every soul who once believed they were too broken to rise? What if your ascent is the spark that ignites revival in those who watch? Doesn't the thought of that make rising not just a choice, but a holy responsibility? There were moments when every fiber of your being longed to retaliate, to strike back with the same intensity that hurt you. Yet instead, you chose release. Isn't it shocking that restraint, which the world mistakes for weakness, is in heaven's eyes the purest strength? Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing. 1 Peter 3:9. That version of you, the quiet warrior, has been the one celebrated the loudest in eternity. Could it be that your silence in the face of offense thundered louder in heaven than any shout of revenge ever could on earth? Doesn't it stir your heart to realize that restraint was never losing, but a declaration that you belong to a higher kingdom? And what if every time you let go of the urge to strike back, you were building a fortress of peace that no enemy could penetrate? Doesn't your spirit already know that mercy has crowned you stronger than vengeance ever could? Not the perfect you, not the polished you, but the honest you, the one scarred, wrestling, bleeding in silence, is the one heaven has chosen. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Isn't it strange that what you thought disqualified you was actually what qualified you most? The authentic you, the one who trembled yet kept walking, the one who doubted yet still prayed, is the one wearing the crown today. And doesn't it bring both awe and humility to know that the world applauds polished masks, but God anoints broken vessels? Could it be that your cracks were never shameful, but the very windows through which divine light could pour out? And what if the honesty you tried to hide was in fact the fragrance that drew heaven closer to you? Doesn't this truth set you free? That you don't have to pretend for God to call you powerful. Nature itself testifies to this paradox. The butterfly only emerges after surrendering to the cocoon. The olive only yields oil after being crushed. The cactus blooms in the desert where no one expects life. Isn't your story the same, that the transformation others couldn't see in you was happening in the hidden places where surrender was the only option? Those who humble themselves will be exalted. Matthew 23:12. And what if the seasons where you felt buried were not graves, but gardens waiting for the right rain? Doesn't this reveal that surrender is not weakness, but the soil of miracles? And isn't it extraordinary that creation itself whispers your story, that the crushing, the waiting, the hiddenness, all were not endings but beginnings? Could it be that what looked like lifeless ground was secretly pregnant with glory, waiting for its appointed time? But history warns us of another way. Take Pharaoh of Egypt, though surrounded by miracles. He hardened his heart again and again until destruction drowned his empire. Isn't it chilling that pride can blind a man so completely that he loses everything while still clinging to the illusion of power? You, by contrast, chose differently. Where Pharaoh gripped control, you opened your hands. Where Pharaoh's name is remembered in ruin, your name is written in redemption. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. Doesn't Pharaoh's downfall prove that refusal to surrender builds monuments that crumble, while humility builds kingdoms that endure? And what if every no you whispered to pride was a yes that unlocked grace over your life? Doesn't your very survival testify that humility has already preserved you where arrogance would have destroyed you? Could it be that your quiet submission has written a legacy that no empire can erase? And so, here you stand, the one who wrestled, the one who stayed, the one who surrendered without quitting. You don't need to earn a seat at the divine table anymore. It has always been yours. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, Psalm 23:5. Isn't it overwhelming to realize that heaven never demanded perfection, only honesty? What if your survival was never about holding on to God, but about God refusing to let go of you? Rise now. Chosen one, rise, because your story is not marked by retaliation, but by redemption. Rise, because the honest you is the one who carries heaven's authority. Rise, because the time of hiding is over and the hour of unveiling is here. And isn't it true that your rising will not just be your victory, but a banner of hope for every weary soul still wrestling in the dark? What if your very act of standing becomes the proof that surrender is never the end, but always the beginning of glory? You've already built it not with bricks or steel, but with your resilience, with your love, and with your relentless choice to keep walking when every reason told you to sit down. What kind of person refuses to collapse when collapse feels inevitable? Isn't it staggering that your perseverance has already become the invisible architecture of your destiny? By your endurance, you will gain your lives. Luke 21:19. Each step you took, trembling though it was, became another beam, another stone, another blueprint etched in heaven's design. Could it be that your life is already a cathedral under construction, one that storms tried to demolish but could not? And isn't it profound that every yes you whispered in pain has become a pillar stronger than any wall built in comfort? What if your refusal to stop has been the very frequency heaven has used to compose a symphony of resilience around your name? Doesn't it make you wonder how much of eternity has already been shifted because you kept going? And now that seat is being prepared not by accident, but by divine orchestration. The God who watched you through every battle is now placing honor in your hands. This is not a favor, it is a response to the covenant of faithfulness you lived in silence. Those who honor me, I will honor. 1 Samuel 2:30. Doesn't it shake your soul to realize that heaven is not rewarding perfection, but persistence? That while the world kept a scoreboard of success, God kept a record of every midnight prayer, every quiet act of forgiveness, every tear that watered seeds no one else saw. Isn't it true that the very battles that almost broke you became the raw material for your crown? And what if the delays you cursed were actually heaven's way of engraving your name deeper into its foundation? Doesn't it stir you to see that honor is not random? It's the echo of sacrifices too sacred for the world to measure. And so, here you are, standing at the edge of a life that finally begins to recognize you. But recognition feels strange, doesn't it? You've grown accustomed to shadows, to silence, to walking uncelebrated. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:10. Could it be that the discomfort you feel now is simply the stretching of new wings you didn't know you carried? Isn't it haunting that honor feels unfamiliar because you were trained for so long in rejection? Yet here you stand, proof that humility and endurance always find their echo in glory. And isn't it remarkable that the same silence that once suffocated you is now the stage amplifying your rise? What if the unease you feel is not a sign of unworthiness, but confirmation that you are stepping into a dimension you were always destined to inhabit? Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance, when the mind struggles to adjust to a new reality. Spiritually, you are experiencing holy dissonance. Your heart is trying to reconcile decades of being overlooked with the sudden weight of being celebrated. Physics calls it resonance, when two frequencies align until one amplifies the other. Doesn't it feel as though your hidden frequency of faith is now colliding with heaven's, producing an amplification that the world cannot ignore? The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Could it be that what once felt like silence was actually the tuning of your soul for this moment of divine harmony? And isn't it breathtaking to know that your trials have become tuning forks, aligning you with heaven's eternal melody? What if all along you weren't waiting on recognition, but recognition was waiting for you to vibrate at heaven's frequency? And ordinary lives bear witness to this same truth. In a quiet village, there was a teacher named Mara, who spent decades tutoring children no one else paid attention to. She worked with broken chalk and torn books, often going without pay. Years later, her students returned doctors, leaders, mothers, builders, each carrying pieces of her sacrifice. One of them said, "Her patience built more than classrooms, it built lives." Isn't your story cut from the same fabric, that what seemed small and unseen was in fact eternal in its impact? Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6-9. And what if your unseen choices are already echoing in futures you will never personally witness? Doesn't it overwhelm you to realize that legacy is not measured by applause, but by the lives secretly altered by your faithfulness? Could it be that your sacrifice has already become a seed blooming in generations you will never meet? So now the question is not whether you belong at the table, it is whether you will sit in the seat heaven already carved for you. The God who carried you through the fire has not only prepared it, he has called your name to occupy it. Rise now, chosen one, rise. Because honor was never borrowed, it was always yours. Rise. Because the life that once overlooked you must now acknowledge you. For arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. And isn't it undeniable that this is not the end of your journey, but the unveiling of the one you were born to walk? What if your rising is not just your victory, but the torch that lights the path for countless others still in the shadows? Doesn't that truth make standing still impossible? When the heavens themselves are thundering your name, maybe you're not used to this kind of ease. To doors opening without a battle, to opportunities greeting you without demanding blood from your wounds. Isn't it strange to step into rooms where you don't have to hide your scars to be accepted? Could it be that after years of struggle, you find it harder to trust blessing than to endure hardship? The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37-23. And isn't it humbling to realize that this ease is not laziness? It is the reward of a faith that refused to collapse. What if the very battles that once left you gasping for strength have now become the foundation of doors opening with grace? Doesn't it awaken awe that what once demanded a fight is now yielding without resistance? As if heaven itself is clearing your path. Could it be that you are finally walking in the season others only whispered about in secret prayers? To people seeing your value without you first having to parade your pain, this is new. Isn't it? You carried worth long before others acknowledged it. But recognition delayed does not mean recognition denied. You are precious and honored in my sight. Isaiah 43-4. What if the reason others failed to see you before was because God was still chiseling the diamond beneath the surface? Isn't it haunting to realize that people often misjudge brilliance when it's still buried in the dark? And doesn't it shift something in you to see that the very value ignored by men has always been treasured by heaven? What if every rejection was never meant to diminish you, but to reserve you for the place where your value would finally be undeniable? Doesn't your spirit rise at the thought that what was hidden in obscurity is now shining in clarity? But let it be said clearly now, it's your turn. Not just for peace, but for joy. Not just for survival, but for expansion. For there is a holy difference between barely getting by and being undeniably blessed. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life, and have it abundantly. John 10:10. Could it be that you were never created for scarcity, but for overflow? Isn't it liberating to know that surviving the storm was only the prologue, and abundance is the chapter now being written in your name? And doesn't your spirit already sense that what is arriving is not accidental, but a divine unveiling of long-awaited promises? What if the very ground beneath your feet is shifting, stretching itself to make room for the harvest you once thought was impossible? Doesn't it stir you that heaven's abundance is not something to chase, it is something already chasing you? The French philosopher Blaise Pascal once wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Yet here you are, having endured years of quiet, discovering that solitude was not a curse, but the soil of transformation. And in that hiddenness, God was enlarging your capacity, not for fragments, but for fullness. Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Isaiah 54:2. Isn't it extraordinary that the very silence that once felt suffocating has become the echo chamber where your expansion was conceived? And what if the stillness you once despised was actually heaven's strategy to prepare your soul for expansion beyond imagination? Doesn't it strike you now that the quiet was not abandonment, but calibration? What if every lonely hour was God stretching your soul into a vessel big enough to hold the destiny now arriving? And art itself testifies to this truth. Handel's Messiah thunders with the words, "For the Lord God omnipotent reigneth." Wasn't that the same anthem echoing over you when everything seemed lost? And doesn't the rising swell of that music mirror your own story? Beginning in minor notes of sorrow, yet erupting in triumph, no force can silence. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. What if your life itself is becoming a symphony once hushed by despair, now roaring with the crescendo of joy? Doesn't it move you to tears that what once sounded like silence was simply the orchestra tuning before the performance? Could it be that your melody of pain has already been rewritten as a song of triumph? Isn't it breathtaking to think that heaven itself is conducting the rise of your life into harmony? So rise now. Chosen one, rise, because it is not enough to endure, you were destined to expand. Rise, because the season of scraping by is over. and the era of abundance has arrived. For blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Deuteronomy 28:6. And isn't it undeniable that your story is shifting from pain into promise, from ashes into authority? Rise. Because joy is no longer foreign, it is your inheritance. Rise. Because expansion is no longer optional, it is your calling. What if this is not just your victory, but the spark that will ignite courage in those still trapped in survival? Doesn't it set your soul ablaze to know that your rising is not just for you, it is for every life waiting to witness what God can do through one surrendered heart? For too long, you've mastered the art of enduring, surviving battle after battle with a resilience that astonished even heaven. But now, something greater is stirring. You are about to remember how to receive. Isn't it wild that endurance can become so familiar, you almost forget abundance is also your inheritance? No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84:11. Could it be that you have grown so accustomed to carrying the weight of storms that you've forgotten what it feels like to dance in clear skies? Doesn't your spirit long to taste goodness without suspicion, to hold blessing without bracing for its loss? And what if the very strength you used to survive was only meant to prepare you for the softness of joy? Doesn't it challenge you to believe that receiving is not weakness, but worship? This kind of shift doesn't happen just because time passes. Time alone does not heal. It only measures. Transformation comes when alignment catches up with identity. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. And isn't it gripping to realize that the soul which once shrank to survive is now stretching to reign? What if your heart has been tuned like an instrument, waiting for the right moment, when the conductor lifts his hand and the music finally begins? Doesn't it awaken awe inside you that what once felt like delay was really preparation for divine synchronization? And what if all the fragments of your past are finally converging into a masterpiece you were born to embody? Isn't it breathtaking that alignment was never about striving, but about finally stepping into the rhythm heaven already wrote for you? When your soul refuses to play small just to avoid attention, you step into authenticity. And authenticity is dangerous because it cannot be controlled by the world. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Isn't it terrifying and yet exhilarating to know that your refusal to dim has made you uncontainable? Could it be that you were never meant to blend into the background, but to blaze as a beacon that unsettles darkness itself? Doesn't it move you to realize that humility was never meant to erase your power, but to purify it? And what if your voice, once silenced by fear, is now the very sound the broken are waiting to hear? Doesn't your rising remind you that power was never about dominance, it was always about presence? Nature itself has always reflected this truth. The river does not apologize for carving valleys. The sunflower does not shrink from following the sun across the sky. The lion does not silence its roar for fear of waking the forest. Isn't your presence the same, unstoppable when aligned with its source? Those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Could it be that creation has been preaching your destiny all along, showing you that expansion, radiance, and strength were written into your very being? And what if the earth itself has been rehearsing your story in its seasons? Winter teaching endurance, spring declaring renewal, summer manifesting growth, and autumn releasing harvest. Doesn't it strike you that your journey has been hidden in plain sight, encoded into nature's eternal song? But history offers a warning. Nero, the Roman emperor, drowned in his own hunger for control, building monuments to his ego while burning the trust of his people. His empire remembered him not as a ruler of power, but as a tyrant consumed by fear. Doesn't his story reveal the haunting truth that presence without purpose decays into destruction? You, however, are cut from a different cloth. Where pride destroyed him, humility has preserved you. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. And isn't it clear that the power entrusted to you is not for oppression, but for illumination? What if every trial was heaven's way of ensuring your hands stayed clean enough to hold sacred authority? Doesn't Nero's ruin testify that crowns without character crumble? But yours is built on foundations that cannot break. So make no mistake, your presence is powerful, and power without surrender corrupts. But power anchored in God transforms nations. Rise now, chosen one, rise, because the season of merely enduring has ended, and the season of receiving has begun. Rise, because the world does not need another echo, it needs the sound of your authentic voice. For arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. And doesn't your soul already sense it, that your rising will not just change your life, but shift the very atmosphere of every place your feet touch? What if this moment is not just an arrival, but a commissioning? Doesn't it compel you to stand, knowing heaven has already declared your name before the world ever recognized it? You're not just a flicker in someone's darkness, you are the blazing architecture of hope. A cathedral of resilience standing tall against collapse. Isn't it astonishing that a soul can be both soft and unbreakable? Like water that wears down stone yet never loses its purity, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. And what if your existence itself is a sermon the world cannot deny? A living reminder that gentleness is not weakness but the highest form of strength. Doesn't it leave you breathless to realize that your story is not about surviving shadows, but about radiating a light that forces shadows to flee? And what if your glow has been designed not just to guide others out of despair, but to remind you that you were never meant to be hidden? Isn't it profound that your very presence is both sanctuary and sword comfort to the weary, but terror to the darkness that tried to silence you? You are the evidence that someone can lose everything and still choose to build again without bitterness. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Job 13:15. Could it be that your hands, scarred by loss, are the very tools heaven used to construct something indestructible? Isn't it haunting that ruins which others feared to touch became the foundation stones of your new beginning? Psychology calls it post-traumatic growth, the transformation that comes not in spite of suffering, but because of it. What if your journey has been the clearest blueprint showing the world that brokenness is not the end, but the beginning of holy reconstruction? Doesn't your rebuilding prove that bitterness has no dominion where faith has planted roots? And isn't it striking that every tear became mortar, every scar became steel, until your soul itself became unshakable, architecture rising higher than before? What if heaven never asked you to avoid loss, but to show how resurrection is born through it? You carry the kind of grace that makes people question their masks. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12-9. And isn't it unsettling that your quiet authenticity exposes pretenses without you saying a word? Could it be that your presence has become a mirror, compelling others to confront the illusions they wear to feel strong? In physics, resonance occurs when one frequency causes another to vibrate. Doesn't your grace do the same, shaking the masks of those around you until truth alone remains? And what if your silence speaks louder than 1,000 sermons? igniting conviction in places where words have failed. Isn't it remarkable that people find themselves stripped of pretense, not because you condemn them, but because your unmasked spirit leaves no space for theirs to hide? Could it be that your very being is an invitation to drop the costume and return to what is real? The truth you carry doesn't need to scream to be heard. It reverberates like a low frequency that travels farther than any shout. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Isn't it remarkable that authenticity whispers with more power than performance ever shouts? Could it be that truth aligned with love creates a resonance stronger than lies could ever withstand? Architects speak of foundations that hold unseen weight. Doesn't your truth serve as the unseen foundation holding entire lives together? And isn't it profound that your refusal to pretend has become the very frequency the world didn't know it was desperate to hear? What if every word you've spoken in truth has been echoing beyond sight, dismantling lies in ways you may never see? Doesn't it overwhelm you to know that truth's power does not depend on volume, but on eternal alignment with God's voice? And now the universe is answering you back. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Luke 6:38. Isn't it staggering that heaven itself is now in dialogue with your perseverance? Could it be that the prayers whispered in nights of despair are now returning as blessings you never imagined? In a small town, there was a woman named Clara, a baker who lost her shop in a fire but chose to share bread from her own kitchen with neighbors who had nothing. Years later, that same community rebuilt her bakery, saying, "She fed us when she had nothing. Now we honor her with everything." Doesn't Clara's story echo your own, that sacrifice spoken in silence always finds its response in abundance? And what if every unseen seed you've sown is now breaking the soil, ready to blossom into a harvest that will leave even you in awe? Doesn't it shake you to realize the heavens never forgot a single act of hidden faithfulness? So rise now, chosen one. Rise, because you are not a fragile flame, you are a force that redefines survival. Rise, because the masks around you cannot outlast the truth within you. Rise, because the universe is not just watching, it is applauding. It is responding. It is aligning. For arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. And isn't it undeniable that your rising is not just personal, it is cosmic. It is generational. It is eternal. Rise, because the time for hiding has ended, and the time for unveiling has arrived. And what if your rising becomes the spark that ignites courage in those still trapped in the shadows? Doesn't it move you to know that heaven's applause is not just for your endurance, but for your unveiling? Rise, because the world cannot afford your silence any longer, not just in signs and whispers, but in real, tangible shifts that cannot be denied. Opportunities are finding you now without effort, as if heaven itself has placed them on your doorstep. Relationships are forming that no longer drain you to prove your worth, but nurture your soul without demand. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Isn't it remarkable that paths once barricaded are now parting before you as though unseen hands are clearing the way? And doesn't your heart tremble at the thought that these doors are not opening because life became easy, but because you became ready? What if every delay was not denial, but divine preparation aligning with this exact moment? You didn't skip steps to arrive here. You lived every inch of this story, carrying wounds that others will never fully comprehend. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. Isn't it haunting that the world often demands explanations for scars it never stayed long enough to witness? Could it be that silence itself has been your greatest testimony? A language only heaven could translate. Doesn't it shift something deep inside to realize that your strength was never built in applause but in solitude? And what if every silent night of wrestling has already been recorded in eternity's archives, waiting to be unveiled as proof of your faith? You don't have to recount your scars for them to respect your strength. By his wounds we are healed. Isaiah 53-5. Isn't it striking that the Son of God did not parade his wounds to prove his power? Yet they became the eternal sign of salvation. Could it be that your story mirrors his strength hidden in sacrifice, authority born out of pain? Doesn't it bring peace to know that you don't owe the world the details of your survival? Because the world could never pay the price of your endurance. And what if true power is found not in proving, but in standing, unshaken, as living evidence of what God has carried you through? Let them wonder. Let them question how you got here, for God saw it all. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you chose faith over fear. For your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Matthew 6-8. Isn't it staggering to realize that heaven was counting what earth dismissed? Could it be that the very things overlooked by men have been multiplied by God into miracles? Doesn't your soul feel a holy defiance in knowing you no longer owe anyone an explanation for glory they did not labor for? And what if your silence is not emptiness, but sacred mystery? The kind that leaves people searching for the fingerprints of God in your life. History and art echo this same truth. Vincent van Gogh, the painter who lived much of his life unrecognized, once said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" Isn't it haunting that his brilliance was questioned in his time, but honored after his death? Your journey reflects the same paradox, misunderstood by many, but treasured by heaven. And in Handel's Zadok, the priest, the choir erupts with sudden triumph, proclaiming coronation after silence. Doesn't your life feel like that crescendo now? A sudden eruption of honor after long years of quiet. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126-5. Could it be that your entire story has been building to this divine crescendo, where hidden endurance explodes into undeniable blessing? So rise now, chosen one, rise, because this is not the time to explain, it is the time to embody. Rise, because God saw what no one else did and counted what no one else valued. Rise, because your scars are not debts, they are declarations. For arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60-1. And isn't it undeniable that your very existence is the answer to prayers long forgotten by men, but never ignored by God? Rise, because your silence has already shouted louder than words, and your presence is the testimony the world cannot dismiss. You were seen in every silent prayer, in every moment of restraint, in every quiet decision not to return to the version of yourself that once begged for crumbs while you were born to command the feast. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65-24. Isn't it breathtaking to realize that heaven recorded what earth ignored, counting every hidden choice as a stone in the palace of your becoming? Could it be that your self-denial, misunderstood by onlookers as weakness, was actually the seedbed of your kingship? And doesn't your heart shiver at the thought that the nights you thought were wasted were actually your coronation rehearsals, teaching you to carry the weight of blessing without bending? What if the silence you endured was not emptiness but the resonance chamber where your soul's frequency was tuned to heaven's pitch? You've grown in a way no algorithm can capture, no camera can show, no feed can monetize. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Isn't it striking that your expansion has happened beneath the surface? Like roots spreading unseen before a tree breaks into bloom. Could it be that the growth you thought was invisible is about to erupt as fruit too obvious to deny? And doesn't it humble you to know that your hidden victories have built a foundation stronger than any public applause? The falcon sharpens its wings far from the crowd before it can dive with precision. Hasn't your spirit done the same? Withdrawing from noise to perfect its strike of purpose. What if the unseen scaffolding of your character has already risen into a cathedral no storm can touch? And from this point forward, the world will feel different, not because it changed, but because you did. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Isn't it staggering that the same streets, the same faces, the same routines now vibrate with a different energy because your perception has been recalibrated? Could it be that what once appeared as obstacles now reveals itself as pathways because your inner architecture has shifted? And doesn't it thrill you that this is not illusion but discernment, like an eagle's eye, seeing currents no one else perceives? The bamboo bends unseen for years underground before it shoots upward overnight. Aren't you in your bamboo season now? Where hidden preparation bursts into visible transformation. Your discernment is sharper now. You no longer entertain what drains you. No longer chase what confuses you. No longer bargain with energy that feels off just because it comes dressed as opportunity. Test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4:1. Isn't it liberating to finally know the texture of peace so well that counterfeits cannot seduce you? Could it be that the boundaries you once feared to set are now your crown? A visible sign of inner royalty. And doesn't it sober you to remember that discernment is not cynicism, but clarity, the clarity of a lion who knows which battle to fight and which to ignore? The Nautilus builds a new chamber inside its shell each season and leaves the old one behind. Aren't you doing the same? Expanding into a form your old life cannot contain. But history warns what happens when discernment is traded for hunger. King Saul, once anointed, lost his kingdom when he chose the applause of men over the voice of God. Isn't it chilling that power without alignment turns into self-destruction? Could it be that your years of restraint have been heaven's way of protecting you from Saul's fate, building a spine that can carry a crown without bowing to idols? And doesn't your journey testify that true kingship is not seized but stewarded? Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. What if your refusal to grasp prematurely has secured a blessing that will not slip from your hands? You've learned what peace actually feels like. And that's why you no longer tolerate the chaos that used to feel normal. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. John 14:27. Isn't it freeing to realize that you are no longer addicted to storms because you've tasted still waters? Could it be that your entire nervous system has been rewired for abundance? So chaos no longer feels like home. And doesn't it amaze you that what once triggered your survival now triggers your discernment, calling you higher instead of pulling you back? The Arctic fox grows a new coat in winter to survive harsh conditions. Haven't you grown a new soul garment? Not just to endure, but to flourish in climates others thought would destroy you. Rise now. Chosen one, rise, because you have been hidden long enough. Rise, because heaven saw what the world dismissed and counted every silent act as sacred. Rise, because you no longer owe your scars as proof to anyone. Your presence itself is testimony. For Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. And isn't it undeniable that this is not merely survival but ascension? Not simply peace but reign. Rise. Because your life has shifted from rehearsing freedom to embodying it. And the world will never feel the same again. You're not above anyone, you simply stopped shrinking beneath yourself. That's what true spiritual maturity looks like. It isn't the illusion of arriving at some glittering summit. It is the steady architecture of small choices, layered like stone upon stone, until a temple of resilience rises from your soul. For God gave us a spirit not of fear but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1-7. Isn't it profound that maturity is not about superiority, but about refusing to collapse into the lesser versions of yourself? Could it be that heaven has been applauding not your grand gestures, but your quiet, daily refusal to disappear? And doesn't it stir something deep within you to realize that what felt ordinary was, in fact, eternity's blueprint being written through your obedience? It's the daily, quiet refusal to shrink the hidden physics of becoming. Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not give up. Galatians 6-9. Isn't it haunting that compromise always whispers the easier path, yet you stood firm when it would have cost you less to bow? Could it be that each no you gave to temptation was like a frequency humming in resonance with heaven itself? And doesn't it shake you to realize that your value has never fluctuated with applause? For it was sealed long before anyone recognized you, like an architect drawing plans no one else can yet see. Hasn't God been constructing strength inside you that outlasts public opinion? What if your refusals to bend were not losses, but cornerstones of a palace only heaven could measure? And now the rewards are not just coming, they're here. In the way your body feels safer to live in the way your spirit feels less scattered, in the way you no longer beg to be understood just to feel whole. The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4-7. Isn't it astonishing that the first reward of faithfulness is not wealth, but wholeness? Could it be that your own skin now feels like sanctuary because your soul finally found its alignment? Doesn't it overwhelm you to realize that you once chased validation, like air, but now breathe freely without it? A woman named Ruth, a nurse in a rural village, once said, "Peace came the day I stopped waiting for someone else to confirm my worth." Her words echo your truth. The reward is already here, in the safety of your own soul. Because the reward is not only what you are about to receive, it is who you became while waiting. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40-31. Isn't it staggering that the waiting room you despised has now become your training ground for flight? Could it be that patience was never wasted time but a furnace forging identity no trial could destroy? Doesn't it bring tears to realize that while others measured you by results, God was measuring you by resilience? In psychology, they call this cognitive reframing, turning pain into power by shifting perception. Haven't you lived this truth? Taking ashes in your hands and molding them into foundations of glory? Let that sink in, because this is not about arriving at a destination, but awakening to the person forged in the fire. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. Isaiah 43:2. Isn't it undeniable that you no longer fear being unseen, because you now carry the unshakable knowing of who you are? Could it be that the stillness you once resented has become the stage where heaven crowned you in secret? Doesn't it shift everything to realize that you are not waiting for the blessing, you have become the blessing? Rise now. Chosen one, rise. Because you are no longer fragile clay, you are living stone, unmovable and radiant. Rise. Because the reward is not around the corner, it is pulsing in your veins. Rise. Because your becoming is the testimony, and your presence is the evidence that God's promises stand unbroken. This isn't just a new chapter, it's a different book entirely. Written in ink, no human hand can erase. The rules have shifted. The old game no longer applies. The version of you who once craved the approval of everyone is no longer in control of the narrative. The version of you who mistook loyalty for self-betrayal has been disarmed. Now, you hold the pen. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. Isaiah 49:16. Isn't it staggering that the hand holding that pen was kissed by God before it even knew the power it carried? Could it be that every hesitation you once called weakness was actually the shaping of a writer's hand destined to carve destiny onto eternity's page? And doesn't it awaken something fierce in you to know that heaven already authored your authority before earth ever doubted it? So, write boldly, live truthfully, and choose with confidence, not because you never failed, but because every fall was rehearsal for your rise. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Proverbs 24:16. Isn't it haunting that what others called defeat was actually your sacred training ground? Could it be that every heartbreak, every lonely night, every false ending was not wasted, but recorded in heaven's archives? And doesn't it thrill you to realize that even when you were bleeding from one ending, your decision to begin again became the anthem of angels? A German philosopher once said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." But you proved something higher. That which wounds us can sanctify us when carried with God. And isn't it undeniable that your scars, rather than disqualifying you, have become signatures of authenticity heaven refuses to erase? Every decision, every heartbreak, every lonely moment was not just endured, it was counted. You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Psalm 56:8. Isn't it breathtaking that nothing slipped through God's hands, not the nights you thought were meaningless, not the prayers you whispered into silence? Could it be that the ledger of heaven records with precision what the world discards with indifference? And doesn't it pierce your soul to know that what felt like wasted years are now unveiled as holy rehearsals for the moment you stand in now? The composer Giuseppe Verdi once wrote a requiem that begins in quiet grief but crescendos into triumphant hope. Doesn't your life mirror that same movement? Sorrow turned into symphony. It was all holy because God is proud of you for persisting, not for perfection, but for presence. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. Isn't it humbling that heaven never applauded your fearlessness, but your willingness to move through fear? Could it be that bravery was never the absence of trembling, but the insistence on walking anyway? And doesn't it leave you in awe to know that the divine was watching when no one else was looking? Clapping from eternity's balcony when earth was silent, a farmer named Miguel, who rebuilt his vineyard after a wildfire consumed it, once said, "I didn't survive because I was strong, I survived because I refused to stop planting." Doesn't his story echo yours, that persistence itself is the truest form of worship? Now heaven is applauding, not for survival, but for the honor you have earned. Well done, good and faithful servant. Matthew 25-23. Isn't it extraordinary that what began as survival has become a coronation? Could it be that your life, once measured by endurance, is now being crowned by glory? And doesn't it compel you to stand taller, To recognize that honor is not promised someday, it is here now. Waiting to be worn? In Shakespeare's Henry V. The chorus declares, "Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. Doesn't it feel like your own story has found its muse? Lit by heaven's flame, so rise now. Chosen one, rise. Because this isn't just another chapter, it's your divine novel. And your hand has been authorized to write it without apology. Rise. Because the applause of heaven has already drowned out the whispers of doubt. Rise. Because every scar has become ink. Every tear has become testimony. Every silence has become song. For arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. And isn't it undeniable that your book doesn't just tell a story, it declares a kingdom? Rise, and write the next page with the boldness of one who knows heaven itself is standing in ovation. They said you were finished. They said your story had already been written, that your best chapters had been closed, that nothing more could possibly emerge from your broken pieces. But heaven leaned in, and God whispered, "This is not the end, this is the unveiling." Because when the world stamps you with done, the Almighty is only just sharpening his pen, and here you stand, living proof that endings in the kingdom are never graves, they are gardens. What you endured was never meant to bury you, but to plant you. And doesn't it stir your soul to realize that the seed cannot bloom until it is hidden in darkness? That the soil covering you was not punishment, but preparation? They didn't see the roots spreading, the resilience forming, the silent victories stacking like unseen pillars. For no weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54:17. And every fiery dart aimed at your downfall became material God used to forge your rise. You have walked through silence, rejection, betrayal, and nights so heavy you doubted the sun would return. But God kept count of every tear, every sleepless night, every quiet act of faith. And now, the tables have turned, not because you forced them, not because you manipulated outcomes, but because heaven decreed it was time. Your setbacks have become setups. Your failures have become fertilizers. Your scars have become the sacred ink, writing a testimony the world cannot deny. This is not just survival, this is ascension. This is not just making it through, this is breaking into new realms. You are no longer the one who begs for crumbs at the edge of the table. You are seated in honor. Because the one who prepared the feast has called your name. And when God calls, no voice of doubt, no chorus of critics, no shadow of yesterday can silence that invitation. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, Psalm 23:5. And now that table is waiting for you, not as a guest in shame, but as a child in glory. So, what does this mean for you now? It means you walk boldly. You no longer shrink to fit spaces that dishonor you. You no longer silence your song because others are uncomfortable with your melody. You no longer dim your fire because others fear your flame. You rise because this is what you were created for. You rise because heaven is already applauding. You rise because your life is not just a story, it is a prophecy, unfolding before the eyes of generations who need to know that God is still faithful. And to you, my beloved audience, this journey we've shared has not been casual. You've stayed, you've listened, you've reflected, you've allowed these words to reach the tender places of your spirit. For that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for engaging, whether through a comment, a share, a subscription, or simply by being present. To those who supported through super thanks, I bless you for sowing into this work. But hear me clearly, whether you gave financially or not, whether you typed amen or simply listened in silence. You are seen, you are valued, and I am grateful for you. This message isn't meant to sit idle. It is meant to move. If this word resonated with you, I invite you share this message with someone who needs it. Leave a comment declaring your agreement, and subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. Your interaction doesn't just support this channel, it multiplies the message, extending hope into places we may never see. Together, we are building not just a community, but a movement, a gathering of those who refuse to accept the final word of men when God has already spoken a greater promise. And as you go, I want you to carry this truth. You are not done. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are chosen, appointed, anointed, and sent. The story is still unfolding, and the author has not dropped his pen. The best is not behind you, it is breaking forth within you. Your next chapter is not a repeat of your pain, it is the eruption of your promise. So step into it with courage, walk into it with confidence, declare it with fire, because God's not finished. In fact, He has only just begun. I bless you now in your families, in your finances, in your health, in your peace, in your purpose. May you walk under open heavens. May you hear His voice clearly. May every closed door swing open in its time, and may every attack against you collapse under the weight of His glory. You are rising. You are shining. You are moving into the fullness of what He has prepared, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop it. This is your time. This is your turn. This is your testimony, and this is your triumph. Go forth. Chosen one, the world has not seen the best of you yet.
And we're gonna let it go.